All right, and before we start, do you want to go ahead and let us know your pronouns and what you're studying?
Yeah, so my pronouns are she, her. I'm a sustainability major here on campus with a concentration in social justice and a minor in education and GIS, which is Geographical Information Systems.
Awesome. Very impressive. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the questions. First, if you want to tell us a little bit about Green Initiative, what kinds of goals does the club work towards regarding sustainability on campus, and what sort of activities or initiatives do you have or want to have in order to achieve those goals?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Green Initiative is a sustainability club. We promote it through different documentaries, films, activities such as we did a table where we had sustainable source silverware that we made little to-go silverware kits with to decrease plastics. Just overall on and off campus, like sustainable practices is what we try to promote. Our goal is to get at least someone on campus to maybe use a little less plastic someday or maybe some recycled clothing rather than from the store.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. And remind me, do you live on campus?
I don't. I did for the first 3 years, though.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Very cool. Where did you live?
Many different places. I started in Towers, moved over to Larned, and my last year housing was in Perse.
Oh, cool. So you've been all over campus.
Yeah, pretty much.
Awesome. And while you were like on campus and while you walk around campus, how would you, like what kind of animals did you see, insects included? Like which ones did you see most often? Have you seen anything particularly weird or interesting?
Yeah, so a lot of squirrels. There's a good amount of squirrels on campus. I'd also say yellow jackets. I've had some interesting encounters with them. But not that I've seen, but I've definitely heard sightings of like foxes and such.
Ooh, I've seen a fox.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool.
And then definitely some cats. Don't know if they're like home-owned or not, but just very like broad genre of animals.
Okay, cool. And how would you describe student attitudes toward the wildlife on campus? Like, is there anything you would change or implement, anything you like about it?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of students live their life separately from the animals. There's not a lot of like, not that you really interact with squirrels very often, but I feel like there's a lot of like avoidance towards a lot of the animals. Oh, skunks is another one. I remember a lot of complaints about skunks. So I'd say the attitude's very like standoffish.
Okay, cool. And in that same vein, what do you think about like the university's like administrative attitude toward the wildlife? Same question as before. Do you like anything about it? Are you like indifferent to it? Do you want to change anything?
I'd say slightly indifferent, but I really think it would be nice if like the university took the time to maybe make some sort of page or something talking about the different animals you might see on campus, or like maybe the wildlife department could do something on the different animals in the area. Would be pretty neat.
Definitely, yeah. I agree with that, yeah. And so like we touched upon the various feelings on campus about wildlife and interactions with wildlife, but I would love to know, since you are this episode's expert guest, what can listeners at home do to improve their environmental impact and sustainability? Do you personally have any advice for students or just people in general about how they can be more aware and helpful to wildlife and nature, both on their college campus, but also even in their own backyard?
Yeah, I love that topic. So I always say start slow, because if you try to do everything at once, you'll become overwhelmed. Especially when talking about wildlife, if you're doing things like composting, which is a lot easier than people think it is. If you're like off campus and you have housing somewhere that has like a wooded area and you're planning on putting your compost there, making sure that it's not like too close to main roads, because it will like semi-attract animals, and you really don't want to like attracting them closer to main roads where they could get injured, hurt. So like really thinking about the impact of what you're doing, not just on the globe, but to the wildlife in the area.
Absolutely. That's really good advice. And I know I concur, because it like matches all the stuff I've heard, because I'm trying to be more environmentally sustainable and conscious. So I feel like you echoed a lot, but also taught me something new, because I have no idea how to compost. So maybe I'll take it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now I'd like to know, like, post-graduation, because you're graduating in the spring, right?
Yes, I am.
Do you want to work in this sort of topic or like field with sustainability and environmentalism? Like, are you interested in working with this after graduation?
Yeah, so my goal is to use my degree more towards my personal life. I've had some different job paths that I realize are not as focused with my major, but I really want to take the time to use my degree towards my personal life, either doing advocating, maybe a little protesting, or something along those lines to promote sustainability with like outside of the job field.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, you've been so great this episode, and I've hit you with all of the hard questions, so I'm going to ask you one final question. Which animal on campus that you've seen is your favorite and why? And if you had to assign that animal a degree to obtain here at Framingham State, what would it be?
So I think I'm going to have to go with the skunks because they're very elusive. When I used to live in Perth, I did see one, and he was just, sneaking around, being all cute and fluffy. But I think that skunks would be really good in the bio major because I could see them really getting into the labs, understanding the material.
Absolutely. Yeah. They could use their skunk stench to contribute to the labs and everything. That's awesome. All right. Well, you have been a fabulous guest. I feel like you were so smart and thoughtful throughout this entire interview. So I want to say thank you very much for letting me feature you on this episode. This is the first episode I've ever done for this website and in my life. So your willingness to be here is greatly appreciated.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Of course. All right. And that wraps up our podcast for today. So as always, check out animalswithdegrees.weebly.com and check us out on Instagram at animals.with.degrees. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them on the site or on Instagram. Shoot me a DM or something. And if you'd like to see more podcast episodes like this, let me know. Thank you again, Ainslee, for being here, and to the listeners for tuning in. Bye.